Oh, that's interesting. I don't think any of mine it's shared out at all. That's interesting.
Looks like the stream was deleted on Facebook. What?
What, do we get deleted?
There's a notification says on the It's All About the Barbecue says it looks like the stream was deleted on Facebook. Try creating a new stream or just remove this destination from the stream, then re-add it. What is going on with everything here?
I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna switch over anyway to Instagram. But everybody, that is Thursday night. It is another edition of Thursday Night Barbecue Chat. I am Steve Kress. I am the grill department manager over at Wanamaker's in lovely, beautiful downtown Downers Grove, Illinois. And the man sitting next to me, as always, the chairman of the board, Barbecue Blackstone and Beer Group, or Page, or YouTube,
both.
or whatever, or both.
I mean, it's not a Groupon. There's no special sales.
I didn't really say Groupon, but
I mean, he really kind of did, because you really did say he runs a Groupon.
I didn't really say.
Then you went silent. But anyways, guys, welcome in. It is Thursday night. We are here once again for Thursday Night Barbecue Chat. Look at that. My good buddy Johnny, I was just talking to him a little bit. It says, "What's up?"
Yeah, well, no, is that what we've resorted to now? Is like reaching out to reaching out to people?
Yeah, I specifically called one person and said, "Hey,
that's more than normal." We almost got like matching sweatshirts today, but yours is not the same as mine. But mine's a hoodie. But anyway, well, we had a great show last week with Little Gringa on this, so that was a great show. But we got another great guest this week too. But before we get to that, guess what, Ryan? It is 1 week from today. I will be in Memphis on my way to the Shed Showdown down there in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. What are you talking?
I called my sister and she's like, "I'm busy. Let me call you later." And I knew as soon as the show was going to start is when she was going to call me back.
Well, she figured that you would be busy.
Yeah, it never fails. Anyways, but
well, for those of you that normally I'd say follow It's All About the Barbecue. You can if you want to, but for some reason, StreamYard has decided to lose the link to It's All About the Barbecue, but it is on my personal page. So we can do it that way. It does say I am live and I'm live there. The only issue is that I cannot share it from my personal page. So a lot of people are not going to see the show tonight. So that's just the way it's going to be. But anyway, so tonight we have.
But do my people not have anything to do with this?
Well, I'm just saying my people. I mean, some
just
people
your people that run the show. I understand. I do, Steve. No,
I have been promoting it very heavily that, follow It's All About the Barbecue to watch and comment live. And of course, the week I do it the most is the week that StreamYard decides that it's not going to work. So
yeah, it happens.
Let's get on to happier and jollier things. We have a great guest today. He's a good friend, I would say.
How much does that cost you?
What's that, to get a good friend?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you got to pay for that, right?
Well, he's far away, so that kind of, I don't have to, he can just say it. He doesn't have to see me all the time,
All right.
But when I do see him, he says hi. I mean, that's
true. That's a good thing. There, I'm going to share it out to It's All About the Barbecue for you.
Thank you. No problem. But he is multi-time world champion, American Royal champion, Jack Daniels champion, and he has a great line of rubs, which, guess what? I brought some home from the store today so I could show them to you, and I forgot them in my car. So that just goes to show you, with age does not always come wisdom, but forgetfulness does happen. So anyway, Ryan, we have from Three Little Pigs, we have Mr. Chris Marks on the show today. And there he is.
How you doing, Steve? Ryan, nice to meet you.
You as well.
And by the way, Ryan, it cost him 2 bottles of sauce to be a friend.
I mean, you got off lucky. Like, I charge him a lot more to have him be able to say that he's my friend.
You don't even. You kidding me? You're happy to be associated with me. You know it.
Oh yeah.
No, I did. I did bring home some. Chris came out with some newer flavors, and I brought them home so I could show them off, and I forgot them. I don't know if there's some around the house here. I got so many bottles of rubs and stuff that are laying around, and Trisha has nicely and neatly tucked them away in places that I don't know if I'll find them for the end of the show. So we're just going to have to go by. Maybe Ryan can find pictures of them when we talk about them.
I will get there. We're having multiple technical difficulties tonight. It's just not.
Well, I mean, Chris, it's snowing by you, and you're not having any difficulty at all. And
Well, I don't want to say that. It's been really slow because of the snow, because I work off cellular out where I'm at. And we just had a balmy 12 inches in Kansas City. It was a nice little storm, 12 inches of snow and about 3 of ice. And we're getting about another 3 inches tonight. So the city's been in total shock for about a week now.
Wow. Yeah,
So,
my sister and brother-in-law and family live down in Kansas City, Missouri side.
yeah.
Up north. They're about 10 minutes away from the airport. So
So they live in like Parkville or
yeah.
Gladstone. Yeah, Liberty.
No, he used to live in Gladstone. Actually, Gladstone. That's Leo's Pizza.
Yep, that is.
All right, see, Steve, Leo's Pizza comes up all the time. Every time I make a trip down to Kansas City, I've got to have Leo's Pizza.
Yeah,
you and Leo's Pizza.
Been there actually.
The best hole-in-the-wall pizza you'll ever get. Sorry, I know this is barbecue chat, but I love their pizza.
Well, you just called their pizza a hole-in-the-wall pizza. I mean, you're raving about it, and it's hole-in-the-wall.
It's like a great dive bar.
It is.
So anyway, Chris saved the day in the show, and tell us a little about how you got started on this fantastic journey of barbecue, and how you got somewhat to where you're at. But how did it all get there? Where did you get your love of barbecue from?
Well, actually, it's a fluke. I'm not going to lie to you, Steve. It was a fluke, and it really came down to, I think I was 26 or 27. Working IT, and I worked at Telex, Memorex, which was an IT company. We're a competitor to IBM, and I did a lot of mainframe work, a lot of large DASD disk and tape. And so what it came down to was my dad was the senior exec at Hallmark Cards, and he loved to barbecue. He was a great cook. He had a great taste, and long story short, he retired from Hallmark. And my mom said, find him something to do. He's freaking driving me crazy. So right before he retired, we went out and bought him a Oklahoma Joe, a real Oklahoma Joe out of Perry. Actually, Joe Davison made it for us. And we actually just rebuilt it and showed it at the American Royal this year.
Oh, wow.
It was brand new. So it's about a 40-year-old unit. And from there, it just started, Steve. He went ahead and retired. And he pretty much got on the barbecue circuit. The first contest he did was in Raytown, Missouri. And back then, we had very few contests to do. And the one in Raytown, he basically cooked raw turkey, slept in a tent. Now, remember, he's 62 years old and a little out of shape, and he was hammered all night. So that was his first experience of barbecue. Long story short, what happened was my mom got involved. Mom's very competitive, all-state basketball player back in the 50s. So again, we're gonna win. We're gonna win. So they brought me in, and I was the cook. My dad was the developer of the recipes, and my mom was pretty much the organizer and the box prepper. So that's where it started at about 27, and here I am going on 65. And from there, we developed the Three Little Pigs style. My parents were an integral part of KCBS when it initially fired up. Both of them were on the board for KCBS for years. And so that's sort of where it started. So unfortunately, fortunately, we did very, very well once we really got it figured out. I think we won our first contest in 92 or 3, and it was McLough, Kansas. Still remember it. And that was our first contest to win. And again, remember, there's not a lot of contests out there. So long story short, my dad was hooked. And next thing you know, he's got a trailer and RV, and he's traveling around the country cooking. And I sort of know how it goes by watching a lot of the guys out there right now. not quite as extensive as the guys do now. We would do about 15 contests a year. And that's really where it started. Once we really defined our style, we didn't change. Steve, we did not change for 15 years. We had the same rubs, the same sauces, all developed by my parents and myself, some of them, but mostly my parents developed most of the sauces and seasonings because they were retired. And we did not change anything for 15 years. We never jumped from, Joe Blow got a fourth here, so we're going to do what he does now. We kept it consistent because understanding it's very cyclic business. One thing's going to be good for maybe 4 or 5 years, and then you have to start transitioning to something else, as it still is now. Right. So we started there, and unfortunately, my dad had heart problems since his early 50s. And so American Royal, we had been reserve in 95, and we were reserved to Oklahoma Joe's, or Jeff Staney, if you've heard that name before. Basically Casey Joe's now. We were reserved to them, and the next year we did well at Jack Daniels, didn't do good at the Royal, but then in 97, 2 months before the contest, my dad passed away.
Oh.
So it was like, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. He had a big RV and he had all that kind of stuff, and I'm working full time. And I also have 3 kids that play sports. So I'm running my butt off all the time. But my mom says, well, let's go ahead and do the Royal. So we cooked the Royal in 97 and dominated and won it.
Wow.
And then from 97, 98, that was the Invitational. Of course, everybody knows the Invitational. You're basically brought in. It's the champions. It's like a NASCAR shootout. Won that. And then in 98, we won the Open. And that's the contest with about 400 in it. Now, understand, this was just me, my mom, and by then my Uncle Ronnie had joined us because that was his little brother. And he was really helping out. He didn't do a lot, but it was really me and my mom doing a lot of that. And so we would do throughout the year about 5 to 6 contests a year. Now, on those 5 or 6 contests, we pretty much won every one. If we weren't first, we were second. But again, my mom was also getting older. And again, I was busy. Like today, these guys are pumping 50 contests a year. I mean, when we were really doing well at the Royal, we're cooking 5 to 6 times a year. And then in 99, we won the Open again. And then in 2000, we won the Invitational again. Then in 2001, 2, 3, and 4, we were reserve in the Invitational.
That's a pretty good run.
The same, Steve. We didn't change. We didn't hop around. We didn't change profiles. We kept the same because we weren't smart enough to change anything. So, and that's sort of where we started. But from there, I took the money that we had won from the Royals and I developed the sauce line from it. The competition sauce, the touch of cherry sauce, and the sweet sauce. So from that, I used that to develop a brand. I incorporated it LLC'd it back in about 98. And so from there, we started it slow on that brand. But what really fortunate for me was when I was about 2005, 2006, and at the same time, I started doing classes about 2000. And that was my buddy Jay, who had a big store at Backyard Bash in Parkville, Missouri, basically told me I'm doing classes for him. Didn't ask me, told me. And I did about 10 classes there a year for 5, 6 years. And unfortunately, Jay got sick and he had to shut his store down. And from there, what happened was in about 2005, I had a guy come up to me and said, I just bought a smoker line and I need somebody to help me. And here I am doing very lucrative in IT. And I'm like, well, how about I work, just assist you for a year. So I basically assist him for a year. And the next thing you know, he comes up to me, here, I'll pay you this and I'll make you general manager and we're going to have fun. So that's where I started. I dropped in. It's called Ace of Hearts. And that was the Goodwin smoker line. And he had purchased the Goodwin smoker line from Ron Goodwin out of Burns, Kansas. And we basically developed that out. And from there, we developed we went ahead and developed the rubs, which had already been developed, but we went ahead and put those into production. And very fortunate enough to work with Old World Spices. And I've been with them closing in on 20 years now. And just good partners in this. And the one thing is, Steve, is I'm not that guy that's in your face type guy. I'm sort of the background guy. I'd rather work smarter than harder.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think out of the box. And but what I love to do most is I love to promote barbecue, travel around the country doing classes. I could do a class every weekend if I wanted. But again, I'm getting old, and it's hard. It's hard to do that every weekend. So that's sort of where it all started, and it's just been a blessing to be able to do what I do. I think in the meantime of that, at 58, I did have open heart because I was running so hard, and sort of reevaluated life and how I wanted to handle it. And that's when I slowed down the classes. I was doing about 45 to 50 classes a year or events, and I slowed that down. And I've enjoyed it much more. But the friendships throughout this have been, coast to coast, Australia, Mexico, Canada. I've taught in all of those. I have friends all over the world now from this hobby, and I love it. And I love talking to my friends. I still chat with them. I chat with my friends in Australia. I chat with my friends in Mexico, Canada all the time. And it's just blessed to be able to do that.
Yeah. No. So just if anybody wants to ask a question, feel free to chime in. I'll ask questions. Ryan will ask questions, and we'll chat and everything. But if somebody's got a question, feel free to ask. I find it more amazing as we talk about competitions and stuff like that you were only doing that little a year. I mean, to you it was probably a lot because you said you were working, but nowadays you hear, all these guys doing 40, 50, plus.
Well, again, they've taken it to extreme, which again, when you take it to extreme like that, it can't be enjoyable.
No.
I mean, it just, again, it's you've turned it into a job, but it's just, you got to make it enjoyable for yourself. I mean, there's so much obsession in it now, and everybody's got to, you got to do this, you got to do that. It's just, no, you don't. You got to have fun. And if it's not fun, don't do it. But a lot of guys get hooked into it because they win that first freaking ribbon.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, here we go.
Yeah.
So, but again, after my dad passed away, we would do, 5 regular contests. Then we do the American Royal, which would be 2. And then we qualified for Jack Daniels all those years too. So we'd go to Jack Daniels.
I
wasn't really going for the fun ones anyway.
I wasn't really going for the one ribbon, but I mean, when you post pictures like this,
it's the crown.
It makes you drive a little harder, right?
Yeah, that's just the royal stuff. So
yeah,
it's just the royal stuff.
I was just flipping through and grabbing what I could.
And the one thing I want you to understand about us, we weren't in your face at all.
Yeah,
you see a lot of these guys that are in your face all the time. Well, I do this. Look at me, look at that. We're not that way. My parents taught us to be humble and kind, and that's the way I am. Anybody asks me anything, I tell them. And we did that in competition. My dad was a big senior exec in Hallmark, but also at the same time, he always cooked. All those Hallmark guys would cook against each other. So there's one of his bosses out of Lawrence, Kansas, which is a big production plant. They would always cook against each other at McLeod. And so one time his boss basically tanked his brisket. So what did my dad do, which is totally illegal, by the way? Gave him his brisket. So guess who beat us?
Your dad's own brisket.
Yeah, he beats us. But my dad, he just thinks it's a hoot. So what did my dad do? He went and took his sign, and took it back and sent it to him. They call it inner office mail at Hallmark. So he was just going crazy. Somebody stole the sign, and then it shows up in inner office mail in Hallmark. So again, that's what it was to my parents. It was friends and having a good time and just fun stuff like that.
Oh, there's,
Well,
there's
yeah,
there's
because
not an
you got
episode that goes
you
by.
got
here that we don't
you
talk
got hooked
about.
into your dad's retirement hobby, and that's how you guys were kind of running it.
Yeah, it was. It was my dad's retirement hobby. Just no getting around it. And now it turned into my job hobby. Hobby job.
Hobby
How's
job.
that? But
Yeah.
you never work hard if you're having fun doing it, and that's what I do. I have fun doing it. I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of graphic design. I like to design a lot of stuff, so that's what I've been doing over the winter. I'll design, redesign websites and pages and things like that. Do a lot of Photoshop, fun things like that, and that's what I like to do now. And then we'll get on the road. My first class is actually in a week up in Omaha.
Oh.
And helping you barbecue up there in Omaha. And it's both classes are already sold out. And every time I go up there, it's either 5 inches of snow or 3 inches of ice. Every time. One time I was up there cooking, it was minus 30 degrees.
Holy Jesus.
Oh yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah.
But
no,
I survived it. I got enough fat on me to survive it.
Let me get caught up here real quick. We got Johnny says hello. Smoking Griddle Boys says, gentlemen, how we doing? My buddy BBQ says, how's D guys?
Howdy guys.
Oh, sorry.
It's a different way of spelling it.
Griddle Vittles, Nick and Jay says, what up? And then Al Lunacy queuing. Good evening, guys. Cheers.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, feel free, like I said, to ask questions. The man knows how to cook. So if you have questions on brisket, ribs, anything like that, feel free to ask. Or if you have questions on the seasonings, because we'll get into the seasonings. Because you mentioned that your mom and dad developed all the seasonings. So is basically the Three Little Pigs the majority of the sauces and the rubs? Are those all legacy hand-down formulations, or are those recents?
Most of those are handed down legacies. The first one developed, of course, on the sauce side was the competition sauce, and that was my dad's baby. And then we went ahead and brought in the touch of cherry sauce and also the sweet sauce. And the sweet sauce, again, was sort of an emulation of a KC masterpiece. And so that's, again, what we always did is we looked at the local grocery stores and what does well, that's usually what won. And so his competition sauce was another variant of a store-bought sauce. But what he did is he redesigned them all and built them all, and which was amazing to watch him do it because he ruined a lot of stuff. But, man, he had so much fun doing it, and people would come from all over. He was retired. People would show up at his house, firemen, policemen. He lived in Kansas City, way out in rural Kansas City, and they would come around just wanting to eat chicken wings with him. And he would cook them chicken wings, and he would sample his sauces and his rubs to them. And that's where a lot of it was developed. It was developed with the officers and the firemen from Kansas City, Mo. And great times. But, most of the rubs, the touch of cherry rub was designed by my mom. And we always thought it was just the biggest sissy rub there was. But she said we needed something really sweet. And I tell you what the top seller is. And it's that touch of cherry. And she would strike me down.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
But yeah, a lot of those are legacy from my parents. I still have recipes for more. It's just, again, it's about timing. As you know, Steve, it's about timing and how things work out. So yeah, it's my legacy. It's my legacy of my parents, and I take a lot of pride in it, and I protect it.
Yeah, that's cool. So look at Ryan's coughing. He's so excited about the touch of cherry.
Yeah.
I love touch of cherry. I think that was getting into barbecuing, doing a lot more. I think that was probably really close to one of the first seasonings that I bought.
And it's very mild, and that was her play on it. It's very mild. The championship's complex. That's my dad, complex. I mean, I bet there's 20. Originally, there's probably 30 spices in it. Wow. 30 ingredients in that thing. And I mean, we had to tone it down because the thing would end up costing way too much to produce. But his original probably had 30 spices in it. and he would go down to a market in that city market in Kansas City, and he would buy all these spices by just the little bags, and he would just mix them and mix them and mix them. And of course, wasn't good for his blood pressure because most of it was salt. But again, that's where a lot of it starts. So again, we didn't copy. I bet there's 15 copies now of the Touch of Cherry out there.
Yeah, I believe it. Everybody's got
You know what I
cherry
mean,
rub.
Steve?
Yeah, everybody's got a cherry rub.
Everybody's got a cherry rub. But if you look when we made it back in 2004 or 5, there was none.
Yeah. Well, there wasn't a lot of I mean, I can even think back to when I first started at Wanamaker's, and that was 2014 is when I really started doing the barbecue stuff. There are probably half of those brands that are up there on that wall didn't even exist back in 2014. It just exploded in that short period of time. You're probably one of the OGs of really getting out there with a brand and a complete rub line, I would think.
Well, we've been out. We just celebrated 20 years with the rubs. So 20 years with the rubs and 25 with the sauces.
Yeah. So I think,
again,
I don't think there was that many back then.
Yeah. In our category, sustainability is a big deal. I mean, how do you sustain it? And that's a big deal. And, basically over the last 25 years of doing classes and building more of a personal relationship with customers versus that we call it the YouTube, where, everybody's got to do YouTube videos. You got to go out and buy 100,000 bots. So every time you make a post, you automatically have 100,000 people liking it,
Jeez.
I mean,
That's
and it's
Ryan.
Do it.
I was telling Ryan, maybe that's what we got to do for the show here is we got to get more bots.
But the problem is with the bots, they don't know anything about barbecue. They don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
That's I work with another group who they bought 50,000 bots.
Wow.
These bots were basically jewelry, laundry soap, all this kind of other stuff that has nothing to do with barbecue. You build the loyalty, you build the brand. I personalized it when I do a class.
Yeah.
When you do a class, a private class, and you do them, you know what a pain in the butt they are. But what you do with that customer is they smell it, they touch it, they feel it, but more importantly is they see who you are.
Yeah.
And again, you're kind to them, you're humble to them. They're going to buy your brand.
See, Ryan, I'm kind, I'm humble, I'm all those things he said.
Let's see that. I mean, Chris, you really got to raise your fee.
The friendship fee? What are you talking about?
I'm just kidding, Steve. You're a good guy.
I'm not too kind.
And that's sort of what we're about is, everybody now wants that bandwagon of I've got to make a YouTube video every week. But the problem is everybody's making the same YouTube videos on the same thing.
Yeah.
And you look at the average YouTube watch time, you're looking at 2 to 3 minutes. When I get a class, I get 3 hours. Yeah. I may have 25 people in that class, but now I have 25 people in that class that are going to recognize my brand all over the country.
Yeah.
And it's a different way of looking at it.
You develop that more personal relationship on top of it, like you were saying.
Right. So again, is that what a lot of these marketing managers want? No. They first thing, I've been into events where how many users do you have? Not users, but how many followers do you have? That's a lead in. How many followers? I could say I have 250,000 because I just bought 250,000 bots. And again, it's just a different way of looking at it. I'm older. You got a lot of younger guys in the category now. But I'm still going to focus until I'll probably drop doing barbecue classes because I love doing it.
Yeah.
I mean,
me too.
I have fun doing it. I mean,
yeah, Ryan just started doing them.
Well, no, that's where I met Steve at a class at Wanamaker's with Sean Young doing the class there, and I went with some other people and met Steve, and I mean, here we are now, right? but now I'm also doing the classes with Sean. So I do a lot of flat top cooking. I pulled back from the barbecue side of it, but I do a lot more griddle. I'm part
Great
of
idea. I mean, you've got to follow the niche.
Yeah.
And the griddle cooking, the Blackstone, I mean, that's hot. I mean, that's another great style of cooking. And you know, everybody has a feel. I mean, it's like this is a huge category. There's a lot of room for lots of people. A lot of room. But what happens is you have a lot of guys who focus on the 10,000 competition cookers. I focus on the other 235 million people out there who don't competition cook.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, you've got to look at the big picture here. It's so many people get caught up in the competition thing. And I take a look at broader picture of people love to cook. They love to have fun, but more importantly, they like people to be nice to them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you know, coming what you were saying from the you know, a retailer aspect of it, which you know, you're similar on your end as a retailer, but you know, in the beginning, that's what I originally got all excited about was, well, I want to get these guys that are competition cooks because they're cooking every single week and they're spending all this money and this and that, and then it comes into where you realize that the competition teams are a business, and then they're on budgets and they're as cheap as a mile is long, and you know, trying to appease them is not making you lots of money because you're trying to fit into their price budgets. That then, you changed and you realize there's more people out there trying to emulate those competition cooks than there are the competition cooks. And you kind of change course and you go after the guys that want to emulate the competition guys.
Right. And my prices are the same, Steve, for the last 20 years.
Wow.
Or actually 25 years. And again, I look at this as a marketing venture. I don't look at this as I need to make a bunch of money to support my competition habit for the first part of the year. I look at this for two ways. And I train, and you know, I train retailers. I show them how to sell barbecue. I show them specifically, and that's why retailers want me to come back. These retailers, some of the biggest sales days they've ever had is when I'm down there, because I can sell it. I can sell Oklahoma Joe's. I can sell Traeger's. I can sell green eggs. I can do it all. And that's what I show that retailer, how to sell barbecue. And you use a rub and a sauce as a lead in. You know this. They're going to come back to their store. Then they're going to see that green egg there. They're going to see that Traeger there. You're going to be able to say, hey, you know exactly how that works. And that is what I've done for the last 25 years. And that's why I'm so different than everybody else. They don't sell for that dealer. I also do not retail online. I don't have an e-commerce site. Everybody does that for me. Why? I don't want it. Biggest pain in the ass, guys, is shipping stuff around, having to store it. You know, what am I good at? I'm good at doing barbecue classes. I'm not good at shipping and, you know, storage and driving forklifts. I'm not good at that. I'm good at stuff.
Right.
And that's where a lot of these guys get in trouble when they'll do a class. They'll basically hand out their cards, go to my website, go to my website, go to my website. I say, go to that dealer. Buy that stuff from the dealer.
Yeah.
Because I don't retail online.
Yeah. No, that's appreciated.
And you know what? And I get beat up about that, guys.
Yeah.
I get knocked around about that a lot. It's like, you need to do this, you need to do this. And I'm like, I don't want it.
Yeah. And Chris does classes locally, so kind of look around and see. He does the Barbecue Authority, and then he does my good friend Dan Marguerite up there at the Backyard Barbecue Store.
I'll be up there February 1st.
February 1st. Oh,
that's our snow class.
I may have to swing up there. I got something
and
else.
That was a class I developed. And what's funny is the mimicking of my classes. I've watched people mimic. I used to call them barbecue 101, 102 back, in 2000. And now, of course, you watch other people call it the same thing, which is sort of fun, sort of flattering. But this class, Dan and I were just sitting there on talking and he has sort of a barbecue / restaurant / brewery. I mean, it's a great story. You've been there. It's a great story.
Yeah, but it's an unusual.
And seriously, it's probably one of the best in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing classes with Dan now for 19 years. And I usually do 3 classes there a year. But this class is basically it's an all brisket class where they get their own brisket, they get a knife, and they get 2 rubs. Huh. And they get a brisket, we trim it, we cut it, I show them how to do it. They jacquard it. They, if they want to inject, I show them how to inject it. We do all that. And that class is usually sold out in a week after we post it. But and the guys, it's fun.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys bring their sons. There's guys who bring their wives. And that's sort of what we focus on, more that family. And I do not focus on, and if a guy asks me about competition, I say, I do not teach competition.
Yeah.
And I just found out that my niche is teaching people. But, Ryan, like you and the griddle, I mean, the griddle's hot. I get lots of questions on griddles, lots of questions. Of course, I was primarily a barbecue smoker, big grill, big iron, as they used to call it. And now, you've got to be really flexible. And I don't care what you cook on. I don't care, if it's a Blackstone. I don't care if it's a Traeger. I don't care if it's a Green Mountain. Because the way I teach it, it doesn't matter. Does not matter. I teach simplicity. I teach it simple, make it easy. Everybody else, I'm going to make it as hard as possible. I'm going to make it simple because it is fire, wood, and protein.
And then just skills.
Yeah, it's basically what it is just relaxing, having it fun. So many of these people get so uptight about this stuff, it's just unreal. I mean, anymore, you go to a competition, American Royal is a great example. And there's an area, my area, we just all have fun and talk and just shoot all the time. And everybody who comes around, if anybody's walking around, we feed them. We don't care. Now, you go into a certain area, that invitational area, those guys are locked up. They're watching their TVs. They're not coming out talking anymore.
Yeah.
As soon as the awards are done and they wrap up their awards, they're gone. I mean, it's sort of a different mentality now. Where it used to be, we're all friends, and now it's a very much of a clique. And there's a certain little clique, and if you're not in it, you're not in it.
Yeah, so, I can see that. We
just sit back and watch, and most of the time we laugh.
Yeah, there's a couple of competitions that I did where I was like, the award ceremonies were coming up, and I seen people, and I'm like, hey, where are you going? They're like, we're getting out of here. If I win anything, so-and-so's going to bring it to me. Like, we're done.
Yeah.
See you later. Like, oh, all right. Like, I love the hanging out part of it. We talk about it on the show all the time that barbecue's family. I mean, you meet these people, and you meet them once, and you get to talk to them, and then you go back out, and you see them a couple months later, and have a good time with it. And
absolutely. And that's where it was with us too.
I'm really enjoying this conversation right now, just because it's, you do kind of miss that side of it a little bit where.
Well, do you think some of that, Chris, do you think some of that comes from the, this newer, as we talked about, and you're not the first one, I think you're the second or third person that made reference to, I don't remember who the first one was, but we got into talking about retailers bringing in product, and before, back in the day, probably when I first was getting into it, because the social media hadn't really gotten huge then, but obviously from when you started, it was all like, how many championships did you win? How many cooks did you do? That's what advertised your product. And
absolutely.
Now it's I think he was saying now some of the bigger box stores, if you don't have 2 or 300,000 followers, you're not even looked at. And whether or not you make good product, whether or not you've won this or you're won that, but if you don't have a social media following, they're not looking for you. But you think that kind of is filtering in then to the competition world, where the people that are more internet based, they just don't know that personal feelings of talking to people and not being in the clique.
I agree. And you bring up a good point about that too, about, all these followers. I'm fortunate enough, again, to have the sustainability. I have a name, and I don't have huge followers because, again, I don't buy bots. And that's where a lot of these guys do. They buy lots of bots. So one of my points was I had a guy, basically ask me, well, what's your YouTube? How many followers are YouTube and all this stuff? Do I have a YouTube channel? Absolutely. Is it huge? No, but I have a couple thousand followers on YouTube, and I think when I looked at it, I had a couple like 200,000 views. And is it do I spend a ton of money producing it? No, I do it. I don't have producers, and I don't shoot all that stuff, and I don't do that. Should I? Probably. But again, being in the business for 20 years is that. The other thing is I don't do is, and now it's really cool if you noticed on going around, I'm going to take a picture with somebody and I'm going to run down to this big contest, and I'm just a YouTube guy, but I'm going to put my arm around them, and I'm selling rubs and sauces, and I'm that YouTube guy, but I'm going around to these big contests acting like, hey, I've done these before. So he's trying to build credibility by going around taking pictures at contests with competition cooks and things like that. I see a lot more of that now.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But we'll see the sustainability of that. How long can you be able to, I don't want to say fool the people that, you've got these credentials by hanging around with certain people. We'll just see. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
See, Ryan, that's why I came out and I was honest, and I said I don't cook anything.
Yeah.
Because I'm friends with Chris Marks, but I still don't cook anything.
We know what you do cook.
We cook that burger, but see, I cook little.
Good.
See, that's 2 people. That's 2 weeks in a row, Ryan.
I'd rather have that right there than barbecue.
Yeah, see that right there.
Yeah, I like that.
He was just talking burgers in general, Ryan. He didn't say the Dutchman.
I like the onion. That's a good deal.
Yeah, that's a little sloppy to me, but it probably would taste really good.
Steve. That's just the ongoing joke, is that he calls, this was Steve's world famous smash burger, but definitely doesn't look like a smash burger to me.
Looks good to me.
Yeah,
it's our good banter back and forth just about every show or every
that
other
burger's
show.
That burger's been on every show. But obviously Chris has got a better memory than I did. Of course, I wasn't really paying attention, but we were at the Do It Best hardware show in Indianapolis. I don't know what I was doing. I wasn't paying attention, and I came around the corner of the trailer there, and he's just like, "Oh my God, they let anybody in here." And I'm looking like, "Well, who the hell knows me at the Do It Best show?" And I turn and I look, and it's Chris. And I was like, "Gosh," I said, "You got a good memory that you would remember me."
I do have that.
Yeah,
and I was remember, didn't I take your candy?
Yeah, you did. You did. We had, because I had candy. It did, and then we went. Well, that was when I was on the sales floor, because one of the favorite aisles there at the show is the candy aisle for me.
Oh man, I know.
I will go and I'll get candy, and I came back over and I said, "Chris, look at all the candy I got." He's like, "Oh, can I have some of these?"
It was leg press, remember?
That's how Steve gets his friends, though. He's like,
"I got to get him some
candy."
Man, it was good. It was good.
But so because I reached out to, it was a contest to see who was going to get tonight's show, whether it was you or OG Bandits, because we had talked that day about getting them on the show, and you responded first, so you're here, and then they're at the end of the month, so they're going to be.
They're good people.
They seemed really nice, and they made some really good. They made some really good burnt ends, and then that is when you showed me the three new flavors to me. I don't know how long they had been out at the time.
They just came out.
Yeah, the spicy maple, the pecan, and the lemon pepper, and got them in right away.
And the hot champion. There's the hot championship in there too.
I don't know if I did that. My people don't really like.
Well, that was developed for one of the guys up by you. Who's also Steve. He wanted a hot finish, he wanted a little bit of a bite, and again, that was an easy one to make because if you remember in the old days, we would always finish with a little cayenne across the top.
Okay.
And we never added it into the rub, but again, it was light, it was ground down, it was fine, and we ended up, and that's what we put in that championship. So it gives you a little bit of a notice versus that other guy who's right beside you. So you get a little bit of a bite. And it's a cayenne, it's a mild. We don't do anything hot.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that. Is that one in Old World?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, do you have the where'd it go? Dang it, I lost the spicy honey and maple. That just
that one's going crazy.
I got that one. Yeah, I got that one in there.
I might have to grab some on Saturday.
Yeah, that's that sweet finish, that mapley finish.
Yeah,
and people are using a ton of it on ribs and pork.
I gotta see. I don't remember if I put that on the taster shelf or not. I think I did, but I don't.
Oh, when you open it up, you know it.
I gotta have I need a better tasting shelf is what I need because I got so many out there now to taste that it's getting hard to find them all.
Chris, what I was looking at the website and stuff that you got up and everything, and some of the stuff I do, like I love this. Like you put out your seasonings and you put what they go with, little things like that, where you don't really see that a lot.
I agree. Remember, and I agree with that exactly. Now, Steve, I'll bring some of these up for you too because I make all that. I spent 3 days making that. There's about 5 iterations, and that's the one I finished up with. I also just finished up with this one right here. Can't see them very well, but these are the descriptions of the rubs. So I just finished up with this one, and I'm proofing it. Actually, my wife is proofing it. And,
we all know that. Yeah. Here, can you look at this for me? Thanks.
Yeah. So I just finished that up this week, and I'll get that into production too. But so, Steve, another thing I do is I look at what other people don't do. And that's part of what other people don't do. I get a lot of questions and ask about, well, what do they go on? Well, they can go on this and this. Why not put it in a little postcard and hand it out?
Yeah.
So, when you do, you see 400 or 500 people a year in classes, you'll be able to pass that out. I also do recipe cards for all my rubs. And you saw what I do at the shows. I'll do those samples.
Yeah.
And I do all that. I mean, I sit down in my basement, watch old science fiction, and pack the little packs.
Packed little packs and staple them to the cards.
Absolutely, you're right.
Yeah. No, we've had the little card. I've had the little cards a couple times at the store. I should get more for the classes, but I haven't been as good at the classes as I probably should have. But
I was going to say, I think I cleared out my pantry of some of my old rubs and stuff that they just kind of get pushed back there and you lose them in sight. And I think I just threw it out because it was sitting back there for so long, but it got lost. But I remember that card with a little bit of packet of seasonings.
Yeah.
I used to do that at all the classes.
Yeah,
I would give some of Chris's stuff out, and I used to do I would have the little tubs of Blues Hog sauce. I would reach out to everybody and get all these little tchotchkes, sample this and that, and Chris was always great. He'd give magnets and stickers and all that other stuff.
People love stickers, man.
Yeah, no, I got to do
that. People love stickers.
Steve, yeah.
I know it's a barbecue thing. I know it's a barbecue phenomenon.
I've been doing stickers for 15 years.
Boy, you got to probably have a wall or a cabinet or something full of tons of stickers.
You should see them. I've got so many stickers. I can't put them on 3 refrigerators. My wife yells at me now. So,
so many
I
people
still have a packet that thick of stickers.
Steve gave me such a hard time when I got my stickers for barbecue, Blackstone, and beer, and now with the griddle battle and stuff, because that's the first thing I do. I'm like, I get to the class because I'm doing the class. We got the class on Saturday. I get there, I put them out on all the little papers with everybody, and Steve gave me such the hardest time.
No,
There's
man.
Brian and his stickers.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't.
What does Steve have now?
I don't
His own
have any
stickers.
Well, I don't. I have to get more. I understand the barbecue phenomenon of stickers. Ryan, it wasn't that you had stickers. It was like you were a used car salesman handing them out. That's all it was like. That was the problem with it. I know the sticker thing is a huge thing in barbecue. Everybody loves that. Just kind of a way of saying that you talk to somebody and it's part of your patchwork of barbecue. But I love stickers. I wish people would send them in all the time. I posted a couple times that I got a new thing for stickers at Wanamaker's to put up there, and I think it's great. I like seeing all the teams, and then you reach out to the people that send you the stickers, and you get to know them, and it just expands the whole family dynamic of it. Yeah.
It's basically guerrilla marketing, where again, it's the personalization. You're giving them something. You're also at the same time you're giving them education. You're also giving them the ability to reach out to you. I've done classes 25 years now. I still have people reach out to me, and I never say no. I tell them what they do, how to do it. Again, a lot of the guys don't do that now. They say basically they bug them. People bug me. I've done my class, but a lot of those guys are doing the online stuff, and they focus on try to go watch my online stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, I never do that.
Terry said he's still waiting for a barbecue Blackstone beer sticker.
Yeah,
I'm sorry about that, Terry. I will get you one sent out.
Sure, he will. He probably told you that the last time you asked him.
Whatever. And then I did want to bring up my buddy Johnny. I don't know if he's still in here or not, or one viewer right now, but he was asking, do you have any gluten-free seasonings?
All my seasonings are gluten-free and sauces.
Okay.
There you go, Johnny. If you're still in here, I know we got 2 people watching, but
it's the replay that matters. It's never the actual
good fun.
Just like Chris just said, it's not about the viewers. It's not about the viewers, Ryan.
Quality.
It's the quality and content.
Quality.
I know.
And I know we got 2 good quality people here right now.
I know. I need to get a better quality co-host. Let me tell you what.
Well, Steve, it's like that guy coming in, kicking the tire, or that guy coming in who's going to be the buyer of a smoker.
Yeah.
I know you can tell. You can tell those guys. The guy who's going to come in there, look at your store, take pictures of something, and then go buy it online. But there's a lot of those Chicago guys who are so loyal to the stores. They'll come up there and you sell them. But you're always going to have that guy who comes in there and is going to buy online.
Yeah. And I can't, I just in case if any of you people are those people, I don't mean to be mean to you, but you take a store like Wanamaker's, and they pay me a fairly good amount of money to know and to learn and to have knowledge and to do everything that I do in barbecue, which may be more than most stores. It could be, but then you come into Wanamaker's, you take advantage of that. You suck all the knowledge that I have of everything, and then you go and you buy it online, and it's, I personally myself, I don't think it's right. I know people do it.
I don't either.
It's just
I'm old school, Steve. Pure old school.
You may pay a little bit more at Wanamaker's, but the knowledge and what you're going to get out of your trip to Wanamaker's is probably more than what you would get online. It's going to be more than what you may get at some stores that may be less expensive, but you're paying for some of that.
You're paying for knowledge. You're paying for
knowledge and just the stuff, and of course a lot of it now is shipping. You're paying a lot for shipping, but
you're paying for knowledge. You're paying for that relationship. Yeah. Now, what I've noticed is, and I noticed demographics. So I look at demographics, and that demographic of that 18 to 35-year-old, they have no loyalty. No loyalty. Yeah. It's all about what I can buy online. They'll walk in there and just with their phone in their face, and doing this, and and then I can do this, and say, well, tell me about this, this, and this, and they just turn around and walk out. But it's still it's our age group. It really pretty much that 35 all the way up into that 60s that still understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And
it's not as bad here. I mean, it's gotten so it's gotten to even so blatant to, the people that work the nursery and the greenhouse part of the store. They just tell you flat out. I mean, they'll come in and they'll pick your brain on everything. And then it's like, okay, I got to get to Home Depot before it closes because they're cheaper. And it's like, okay, well now, the staff at the store just spent an hour with you explaining how to do everything. And then you're going to right to their face say, well, I'm going to go to the place down the street because they're cheaper, but they didn't know what they were talking about.
Right.
Well, and you think about it, Steve, when you're talking cheaper, you're probably talking $5 or $6 total,
right?
The whole deal.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just don't get it. I think sometimes people think it's cool to screw the little guy.
Yeah. Well, because usually the little guy makes more of an investment in having people that know something, and then they go to where people are just there to turn and burn product.
But you look at Steve. There's probably another 3 or 4 like you around the country.
Yeah.
That have a passion for barbecue. Do what you do. Spend well above what other people do.
Yeah.
I mean, you should probably be being paid for this. I mean, you're doing a service for your company. And
it's just even like we brought up Dan up there at the Backyard Barbecue store. I think I have a great barbecue department. Dan's store is an experience. I mean, if you haven't gone up to the Backyard Barbecue store up in Wilmette, and I run a barbecue department, I want everybody to come to my store, but you have to go check out Dan's store. Between the like Chris was saying, between the grilling, he's got a little wine section in there. He's got they're cooking every single day on green eggs, and they do that. He even rents out spaces. He's got a great classroom area with a built-in kitchen and this and that. It is a cool and
he serves beer.
And he serves beer there, right in the store. And it's kind of it's like
an experience.
It's like a bar or restaurant, wine store, grilling store. It is a
neighborhood. I tell you what, people, when I'm doing classes, people that come walking in there, it's like, Dan, where's Dan? Where's Dan?
Dan? Yeah.
They love Dan. And what he's done is he's taken that business and personalized it. And that's what I talk about too, and that's what I've done with my rubs and sauces. I've personalized it. So people say, Three Little Pigs. They say, oh, well, that's Chris's stuff. And that's what I want to happen. Right. Will I be huge, Steve? No. Yeah. But will I be satisfied in what I do? Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you talk about your classes and the personality and the relationships that you build and everything. And then you got, speaking of the classes, you got Sean Young in here that says the first class I took 17 years ago was his class in Lyle. Learned a ton. Still use some of his techniques today.
Thank you, Sean. And that's a long time back in Lyle.
Well, and the funny thing is, Sean is with Risky Brisket. He is the instructor for all our classes. So he's taken what he's learned from you. He's turned it into a successful barbecue competition career. And now he's turned around and is doing the same thing and passing it along to people like, Ryan's done the classes. I've been to all the classes, obviously. But Ryan's been to the classes. And they're great classes, and he does the same thing. It's a quality class, and you're gonna pay a little bit for it, but you get good food. You learn a lot, and you're entertained. It's not a just sit there, lecture, take notes, this type of thing. They're great classes, and
that's what I want to do is that. And I give them a PowerPoint. We used to at IBM called it Death by PowerPoint. I have PowerPoints for all my classes too. But what I've done, Steve, though, over the years, and my goal was is some of my dealers, I want to transition out of doing classes, and I want them to take over it. I want that dealer to be the expert in the area. How do you do that? You bring people in. You get trained to do it too. My buddy Scott Regal at Indianapolis, I've been working with him for about 7 or 8 years now. He is now doing his own classes. I come in and do a couple classes a year there, but he does a lot of his own classes. Chris Combs out in Pennsylvania State College, same thing. I've trained him for about 15 years. Now he does mostly his own classes. Ron and John up at Helping You Barbecue. I come in January and they do the rest of the classes the rest of the year. Now, other guys would get all pissed off about that. I'm like, that's what I want them to do, because now you are seen as that expert.
Yeah.
And
I like that.
So again, as you go around, I want these guys to assume those own classes. Does it take away from me? Not really. What it's done is basically these guys say, Chris Marks trained me.
Yeah,
and I train him more on the presentation part of it than really more of the cooking anymore. It's more the how do I present, because that's where I came from. I came from that IT background of being a presenter. So I know how to basically engage. I know how to bring them in and basically keep them engaged.
IT must be a very popular stepping stone to barbecue, because I think Sean Young does IT. You did IT. I think Harry Sue was in IT. I think that Ryan pretends he's in barbecue, but he does IT.
Todd Johns for Plowboy IT.
Yeah. I mean, it must just be a natural calming thing to do barbecue from the.
Most of us don't make it past 50.
Yeah, doing all the IT work, you then do the barbecue to soothe your soul. Yeah, right.
You're getting so good. Sean said, "I love it, Steve. You're teaching the class Saturday."
Oh, beautiful! That'd be a fun class. I don't know how much they'd learn, but it'd be an entertaining class.
But again, it's important for those stores as you develop around the country to do that. Yeah. And that's the guys who are going to. And Dan Marguerite, he does classes too. So, and he does he teaches the green egg classes.
Yeah.
And I teach the protein side of it, and he teaches the green egg usage side of it. Scott Luca from Indianapolis is another great one. He does a great green egg class.
Yeah.
So again, it's how do you pace it?
I have great people come in and teach my classes.
Barbecue equals expensive. IT equals good pay, supports barbecue habit.
Yeah.
Oh man, right. Somebody hit that right on the nose.
That was Sean. Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's not what it was when you were doing it, Chris. I mean, now with all the Wagyu briskets and
oh my god,
it's ribs and
it's stupid. It's just, I'm like, you just paid $1,500 for 3 briskets for the American Royal. I'm like, you do know the whole category pays $1,000, guys.
Right?
What the hell? Oh, we can only use this kind of rib. I'm like, guys, you know what? We won a perfect score on brisket at the American Royal in 2000.
Yeah.
I bought the damn brisket at Sam's Club on the way down to the contest in the same container for that day.
Yeah.
Perfect score, first place brisket, the Invitational. It wasn't a Wagyu. It didn't, it wasn't,
Well, that could be the other reason why those guys are so serious in their trailers now. I mean, they're they go to the Royal, they're probably dropping $3,000 to $4,000 just in meat and everything else. They're probably sweating it that they got to win or they're going to lose some money.
Well, that's not the one to sweat it at when you have, 500 people there. That's a crapshoot, Steve. That is a crapshoot.
That's any given cook day.
Any given
it is. It's who do they like that day? Understanding 500 teams, 500 judges. I guaranteed I would say probably half those judges are trained. And what's going to happen is you're going to have a confluence of different kinds of tastes. And there's a lot of those guys who are not trained in competition barbecue judging, does not like the way they cook now. They don't like the over-injected, the heavily sweet. They don't like that. And that's where a lot of these guys get their panties up in a bunch when they do the really big contest, that the certified judges haven't been trained by the other competition cooks.
Oh, Caden, Caden's in the house.
Yeah.
What's up, buddy?
This is my future once he starts cooking.
Well, he cooked at the He cooked at the griddle battle.
He does. Yeah, he does cook at the griddle battle. He's not going to do it again unless he starts practicing there.
So what the I forgot what I was gonna say now because we were on that a whole competition type of thing. Did you find that when you do your cooks and when you were traveling around a little bit, I don't know how far you traveled, but did you find similar to like the state competitions now where certain areas had a different flavor, but you said you used the same profile all the time?
We did. We won in Louisiana. We've won in Mississippi. This was my parents, Arkansas, Iowa, Nebraska.
I'll be up there.
They traveled all that little circuit in there, and they won just same way.
Did the same thing.
Yeah,
I was just curious because I know that
we weren't smart enough to change everything.
Yeah, I mean, you listen to some of the steak people, and it's just that certain areas like this, they know that certain areas like this flavory type of thing, and it has to be this shape, or some people like hockey pucks, and other people like the regular ribeye looking normal, and this and that, and I was just curious. But,
well, again, it's not about presentation, and unfortunately, it's gone there. So a lot of the other type organizations really don't pay much attention to presentation.
Yeah.
You cook ICBA. I've cooked a couple ICBA, and we do extremely well in ICBA because you don't have to garnish anything. You cook half chickens, you cook ribs. You don't have to garnish anything. You put it in the box with foil, and it did really well.
Ryan. That's our kind of competition right there.
Yeah,
we don't have to garnish it; just cook it and throw it in the box.
That's a steak.
And they do half chickens.
I like half chickens. I can't tell you. I can't tell you. I'm excited to the next week to get to Memphis and go to Gus's for fried chicken. That's on my mind right now.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, I think it's supposed to be snowing down there.
Not next week.
Oh, you hope.
Don't say that, Chris. I got to drive
through right now.
Well, I'm not going. I got a week. I've been watching the weather because I don't like driving in the snow. That's for sure.
Oh, I know. It was Steve. It just shut the city down for 3 days.
Yeah.
But Kansas City's somewhat used to snow, though, isn't it?
Yeah, we are, but not 12 inches and
not
ice.
like that. No.
Yeah, we had 12 inches of snow and 2 inches of ice. So they scraped the snow off, and now we got the ice.
Yeah.
I don't think up here we're good with 12 inches of snow either. But I was gonna say I thought Kansas City would be a little more. It's not like going to Memphis or something like that with.
Well, you look at I got Camp and Aaron. She's out in Virginia. She grew up in Wisconsin, and she's used to the snow. You get 6-7 inches of snow. It's like, all right, the buses come and go to school. She said they got some snow out there. This is day number 4 that the kids are out.
I know.
No school 4 days in a row, but
they just don't have the equipment
right. Dallas is getting hit now too, and that's usually funny to watch too.
It's like that one year that Atlanta got the ice.
Oh yeah,
shut down the whole city for ice.
They were like all the YouTube videos of like it was the apocalypse or something, and they were
absolutely. So, but, barbecue is a great hobby. I've been fortunate enough to land where I am and do what I do. And I'm very blessed. And again, it's about good partners. And, we've been through some trials and tribulations over the last 20 years. I work with Matt Norgrim from Old World now, who does a great job. He's sort of our go-to guy. And it just, again, great partners are really what makes it work. And I also work with a developer called Jerry Bonner out of Old World, which is super talented. And when we talk about things, it's like, the ingredients of how do we make something pop? How do we, and I want, like when we developed the spicy honey maple, Steve, that was something my dad put together probably 25 years ago, but it wasn't spicy and it wasn't honey. It was more of a maple. So, what I do is I take a look at those trends, and of course I use search engine and I look what people are looking for. So that's where we came back with, the spicy honey maple. And again, it's about trying to develop. The one thing I don't do is copy anybody. I know there's a lot of copies of the cherry. I know there's a lot of copies of the championship out there. I just know there's a lot of copies people trying to copy, but usually the first one in wins. The one who's already developed that name for that flavor profile is going to be the guy.
Yeah.
And everybody wants that shelf space. But people don't understand. It's really easy to get it on the shelf, but it's a bitch to get it off the shelf.
Yeah.
You've got to develop that name. And how do you do that? You've got to get out there. Can you do YouTubes? Absolutely. But the problem with the YouTube's videos is the sustainability of the YouTube video, because most people watch 2 or 3 minutes of that YouTube video and then it's total ADD. I got it. I'm not going to lie to you. I got it. I'll watch 2 or 3 minutes and I'm like, on to something else. But in a class, you capture them and you hold them. And that's, again, how I've built my brand on those classes. And it's hard. I tell you what, I know that's what caused part of my heart deal was I was on the road for a ton. And now I'm fortunate enough, my wife's retired and she travels with me, which makes it a lot easier on me to do it. Yeah. And again, it's just a different model. Would a CEO or a CMO like my model? Hell no. They tell me I'm crazy. They flat out tell me I'm crazy. But again, all you have to do is look at the results. But still, do I fit the models of the new guys coming in? No. I'm not going to go around put my arms around people, taking pictures with them and run into every big contest and cooking and begging to cook with people and begging to do events. That's not me. So it is what it is, and I am who I am. And I hope to be able to continue for 10 more years.
Yeah. Now, do you still do the Royal and stuff like that?
Yeah. Actually, Scott Regal from Barbecue Meisters Indy comes in and cooks the contest. I do the party. So I'll cook all the party.
Nice.
Steve, they are way too serious about this anymore. It's just, I can't handle it. They're just too serious about it. I just can't. They'll have a probe in every single rib bone.
Wow.
And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Well, this is the way I went to a competition class and this is what Yahoo does. And so he has 5 probes in between the rib bones. I'm like,
wow.
Really? Yeah.
Well, what happens if the bone in the center starts temping higher than the ones on the ends? What do you do? Now
I think their minds blow up.
And I could see if the ones on the ends did, you could trim them off. But if the one in the center starts getting too hot, what are you going to do with the rest? Just cut out that one in the middle, I guess. But
Steve, it is just crazy, and it is grown in to such a clique that you have your insiders at the KCBS and you have your outsiders. And it's a definite group to watch. And it's actually pretty funny to watch because, they like circle the wagon, the insiders, and they all talk to each other. But then you have the wannabes trying to get in to be the insider. Oh man, it's just fun to watch.
I got on Instagram. I got Serious Smoke Only. He kind of hopped in at the middle of our just recent conversation here. Chris was mentioning that there's somebody out there that they'd put a probe in between each rib on when they're cooking in competition on a rack of ribs. They'll have a probe between each bone to make sure all the temperatures are where there should be. So that's what we were talking about with the 5 probes. And
crazy.
Yeah, so they'll take the size, the 6 ribs they're going to use, and they'll probe in between all of them.
That's crazy.
It's that's way too hard. And they're all sitting there watching their electronics, all sitting there. Don't talk to them. They're all sitting there watching. I'm like, really? And I'll just reach over there and just flip them upside down to see how they feel. And, we can't do that. We can't. We got to make sure they're at 10.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. All right. Well, Chris, I think we've gone over. We're at an hour 14. That means we've had a good conversation. And I didn't even get to ask you what's on the brisket. We know you haven't changed it, but what's the layering for the brisket?
Layering on the brisket is Texas beef, Memphis.
That's it?
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
That was
it's not hard.
that was anticlimactic, and
I know it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
I was waiting for the.
Oh, but the guys out in Utah, they love cherry on the brisket.
No.
When I do a lot of work out in Salt Lake, out in Layton, Lehigh. I do a lot of classes out there in Utah, and God, they're good cookers out there. They're really good cooks out in Salt Lake, and go ahead and have a lot of fun. But they love the sweet on the brisket, you know. But again,
I did think about. I was next week. I'm heading down to the shed for the showdown, and I was kind of like this. I'm more like this close. I was this close to paying the SCA fee and joining joining the competition and just doing a steak like a steak.
yeah,
I think it was just.
You might be surprised, Steve.
I was talking to somebody today. We were talking about it. Who's heading down there, and I said, I almost did it, and wouldn't it be funny if I did it and I won? And all the guys with their sous videing and their tying and their pinning and their thumb grinders and all the tech that they go into making this steak, and I went in there and just put some rub on it and threw it on there and did some perfect marks and.
Slather it with some A1 and call it a day.
Slather with some A1. But it would just be
man.
It would just be the fun.
You might be surprised.
It'd just be the fun of doing it. I just think it would be just kind of fun to in that kind of a big event as a nobody just to do it. Ryan, that's what we're going to do next year.
You're not a nobody, Steve.
I am a nobody. I will always be a nobody, and I'm just so
you're going to take you from a nobody to a somebody.
I just, and I've said it 1,000 times, I am just a barbecue geek that I am just happy at the fact that I can sit here and talk to an 8 or 9 time world champion as part of my, part of what I do. I get to help people at the store, go into the shed. I'm doing what Chris just said, but I'm going to cook with the guys from Smoky Woods. I'm just going to, because I just want to do the experience of doing it. Yeah. And just being able to be there. I am in awe of the fact of seeing Brad and Brooke and all the other barbecue people that'll be down there. Because I'm just a barbecue geek. That's all I am. And I'm here to transfer that excitement. Yeah, I'm here to transfer that excitement to everybody and get them just as excited about barbecue as I am.
You gonna take your hat?
I am. I'm going to wear my hat. I got it here. It's going to get, oh, shit.
Now I just threw it.
I just threw it. Yeah, no, I'm going to bring it with. I'm going to be ready for it. This is how I'm going to walk around the whole weekend. Uh-oh. God, if Chris has got one, that'd be. Oh. Well.
Yeah, we got to bow down to the king.
That's one of 4.
Yeah. Hey, you want to get rid of one? Want to autograph one and send it? I'll wear it on the show.
All the beads have fallen off.
That's all right.
Nice. Well, Chris, it's been great having you on the show. We've never met, but I'm happy I met you. Thank you for sharing your story with us. It was great to sit here and listen to. I truly appreciate it.
Well, as you can see, there's not a lot of. I don't spew a lot of, you need to do this, do that, do that. This whole hobby is about making you and your family satisfied in what you do.
Right.
And that's what I try to tell these people. You can try to competition cook. You can try to cook. I could sit there and train you on how to do it, but could you do it? Probably not. You just got to figure it out on your own. And that's what I try to tell these guys to get in competition cooking. And they ask me why I don't do it anymore. It's because I don't like it. I don't like doing it. I just don't. I like teaching people how simple it is because that's how we used to do it.
Yeah, I think in the long run, I think people maybe it'll revert itself back to being simple again, but who knows?
Yeah.
But so you're gonna be up in the area February 1st. You're gonna be up in the Chicago area.
I'll be up with Dan. 1st? Yeah.
What time? Do you know what time that class runs from?
Now the thing about Dan is because he serves, it runs from 2:00 to 6.
Okay.
2:00 to 6.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be
and
perfect.
He's a late class because he serves lunch until 2.
Why don't we
Yes.
do a barbecue love tour there?
Yeah, we could. I mean, it's an interesting thing. I mean, we could. He does serve lunch and stuff like that. We'd have to try
Yeah.
that one. That's something to think about because you guys should
And-
see
and,
that store.
He has a little gal chef, and she is excellent. She is really, really good.
Nice.
And then not only that, he is a. I think it's just from all the years of him doing what he's been doing, kind of like the godfather of grilling stores in the Chicago area.
Yeah.
He has a great collection of old Weber grills. I mean,
Yes.
he's got a fantastic collection of.
Now, a little history there is his dad was friends with Stevens. Dan used to go skiing with him.
That's where he got a
So
lot of his.
there's sort of where some of that comes from.
There's
too.
some of that connection there to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
no,
He
I-
just got a new Texas something in their grill, a new Weber grill that he was real proud of getting when I was up there the last time in September.
Okay. Well, I'll have to get up there.
But
I
he's
gotta
a
get up there.
Good guy. His family, they're great people.
I'm going to do the Ace in LaGrange Park is going to have their annual rib cook off again. So I'm going to go and go to that. Ryan and I may actually go to that. I got to talk to Scott over there, but then after that, I'll run up to the Backyard Barbecue store and say hi to you and Dan. Cause I love going to his store. The last time Dr. Barbecue was in town for the grill extravaganza, he did something up there the next day, and I ran up there, and it was so neat to see how it's changed. But I just like looking at some of the grills up there, so I'll come up there and say hi to them first.
The Kalamazoos.
Yeah. Some of those grills are like $30,000. Those built.
Yeah, the Kalamazoo. Yeah. Oh, they got a smoker now that is right at $30,000.
Wow.
Yeah. I know.
Well, that area, I think they have a little bit of money.
Yeah, they've got some jack up there.
Just a little bit. I just got to get you to come about 2 miles east on Ogden there and come and do a class at Wanamaker's and move down the street from the Authority down there. But
You've talked to Matt, haven't you?
No, I haven't. I just reached out to Matt. I want to I wanted to see if he would send somebody up for our garden show to sample products.
That is me, by the way.
Yeah, I reached out to him. We talked about it right after the Do It Best show, and he said that you would probably be perfect for it. And I said, well, that's fine. He knows the area because he's down the street all the time doing classes. And he said, well, let me see if it'll work. And then he never said anything. And I've been reaching out to try.
Well, he reached out to me the first of the week, and I told him yes. So.
Oh, okay. So then I haven't.
Right?
Yeah, for March. Oh, excellent. Okay, perfect. And he maybe just like, 8th and 9th, I think.
8th and 9th. Okay, close enough.
Something like that. Yeah, whatever. I'll get with you. I can always message you dates and stuff like that. But then he just probably hasn't gotten back to me yet. Well, that's excellent then. Well, most excellent.
So
well, then I'll get to meet you then.
You get to meet you. Well, he was in the store. Chris was in the store once before, and I told the story once before. He came in to say hi because he was doing a class. This was I don't even know how many years ago. This was like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
He came in the store to say hi, and he's standing there talking, and I had a customer come up and ask a question that related to something that Chris could answer. And I mean, he was looking at me, and he stepped right in between me and Chris, and he's talking to the question, and he's kind of looking like Chris is like, oh, hi, how you doing? And then Chris is like, hi. And he's going on and on. I said, well, you might want to ask this gentleman. And he turns around and he's like, well, who's he? And then Chris holds up the royal. He had one of his royal rings on for being world champion. He's like, oh, well, I just won one of these. I've won the royal like 7 or 8 times. And he's like, oh, all of a sudden his back was to me. And all of a sudden I became, but it was just funny how it was when you're out of I tell people all the time, when you're not in the barbecue bubble, nobody knows who you are. So
that's fact. And a lot of these guys, Steve, don't know that.
Yeah. You and I get excited. Like I said, I get excited to go to the shed. I can, Trisha, who's my girlfriend, she's new to the barbecue thing. And I talk about all the people that are going to be there. And I'm like super excited. And she
thinks you're nuts.
Yeah. She's like, well, I'm happy that you're happy and excited. And,
my wife's the same way after 25 years of doing this too. She's like, what? Who cares? Same thing.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. But it's love that she pretends like she's happy for me. So that's all.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, I think it's time to go. Chris, good to see you. I will probably see you then on the 1st, and then we'll see you again in March. But yeah, no, that's great news. I'll wait to hear from Matt. Yeah, no, Matt was a really nice guy. We met him at the Do It Best show. He's really nice. So
Yeah, he works hard.
Yeah, thank you for everything. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for being a cool guy. And we look forward to seeing you. But thanks again.
Okay. Well, again, thanks you guys so much. And talk to you. Call me if you need me.
You got it.
Thanks,
All
Chris.
right, my friend.
Have a good night.
You too.
Yep.
Another
good show.
Hour 25, man.
It was a good. I was just in. That's how you know that the barbecue Thursday night barbecue chat was a good chat, is when it goes long, because you're just into chatting and talking about what's going on. Well, that's great news. That means that this year at Wanamaker's Home and Gardens Garden Show, Chris Marks will be there. That's kind of nice to sample.
Maybe I can run up and get my picture with him, and I can post it on Facebook.
That you know. Well, and it's funny. I was kind of laughing because he was talking about that, and that's. I had just been reaching out because I obviously, as I said, I don't cook a lot. I do cook when I go down for barbecue relief, but I don't do any kind of cooking around the house here and everything. But I do enjoy the whole workings of cooking. So I did. I reached out to Jim Taylor from Smoky Woods and say, "Hey, are you guys cooking anything?" And he said that they were. And I said, "Do you mind if I, help a little bit? I don't want to be like tied to a time schedule or anything, but it'd be fun to just go and help and cook and do stuff." And then I reached out to Craig Carter, the party starter, and said, "You guys cooking anything?" And he said he was. And I said, "Well, that'd be cool. Can I jump in and cook with you guys for a little bit? Because I do enjoy it. I like the cooking part of it." As I explained to Jim Taylor, a lot of it has to do with, I really just can't sit around for 13 or 14 hours to cook something. I just can't. Right. I just don't have the patience for it. Now, like Mr. Young's briskets coming up this Saturday, if you're going to cook them in 4 to 5 hours, there's a possibility that I could hang around for that. But as I've gotten older, it has just been so much easier to go to somewhere like Station 1, let them do the 14 or 15 hours of cooking, walk in the door, order my stuff, and sit down and eat within 5 or 10 minutes instead of waiting 14 or 15 hours to eat it.
Yeah. Well, with that, guys, Steve's not going to be here next week, so it's just me. So come hang out. I think we're going to might do a little free for all. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll do something. We'll have some fun with it.
I'll patch in at some point and watch. Yeah. But yeah, no, I will not be here, and I don't have anybody for the 23rd. So
I might I might have somebody lined up. I got to figure it out.
Well, the 23rd I was holding for.
Won't say you don't have anybody, and then
I don't have anybody scheduled, but
somebody else gets on the schedule first, and that's just too bad.
I have been talking to I've been talking to Brooke and Brad about being on for the 23rd to recap the showdown. I just have never gotten a firm commitment to yes, that's what they're going to do. So
get a firm commitment, or else I will lock something in. With that, guys, we're 28 minutes over.
Shop local, shop small. Please be kind and courteous to everybody, especially as we head into this very exciting week leading up to the 20th of January. Please be kind and courteous to everybody, and just, geez Louises, take it down a notch and just live a little.
Yeah, and don't steal their knowledge and then go to another store.
Don't go to. I really don't like that.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you later.